because I think it's really cool. Don't tell him I said that. All right, so there's way too much for me to remember what to tell you has been done to this car so far and what future plans are for it. This is a 1957 Fairlane two-door hardtop, and it's got lots of stuff going on. He's been working on this car since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, and most of the work has been done to it in recent years. So he's really got a hair up his ass to get it done, and I'm excited, and I kind of wanted to talk to him about it and kind of give you guys a little bit about what's being done to this car, because I think it's really cool. Don't tell him I said that.
Okay, so it's really hard to move around with this hair up my ass. I just want to tell you that right out of the gate.
You weren't supposed to know that he was standing right there.
Okay, so it's a 57 Ford Fairlane 500 two-door hardtop. Had it forever, and my first advice to anybody would be, don't tear one apart, because it takes too long to get it back together. Every panel in this car has been altered or changed in one way or another. We started off with one that was ready to go to the scrapyard, because I would never cut up a nice car. So this car was on its way to the scrapyard. So the first thing we did was chop the top to make sure that turned out right. Because if it didn't, then I didn't want to waste the time or the car. So the car has got a 3-inch in the front, just a little bit less in the back. So it's got a little bit of a rake on the roof. And while we're on the roof, so the front pods here on the roof were grafted off of a 1957 Mercury Turnpike Cruiser, which if you haven't seen one of those before, this is the trim. It gets this little cool looking aerial in it. All my parts are at the chrome shop right now. This is just one I didn't use. But originally that was a vent, a fresh air vent inside the car. And you know, the 57 Mercury's, the back window went down. So you could let the fresh air come in and take your cigarette smoke past your kids' faces and out the back window back in 57. These aren't going to be functional. They're just going to be for aesthetics, for looks. It's purdy. Of course, it's chopped. Windshield and back glass both have to be cut, and they're brand new sitting over there in the box waiting on me to do that. It's just not time just yet. I think I need to put the headliner in before I put the windshield in. Right here on the hood, this is a louver hood, stock hood. I used to have a 58 hood, but it had chrome in the front and there was just too much going on in the front. I like this a lot better with the louvers in it. Bought it at Swap Meet many moons ago. The headlights have been Frenched in. They get a 56 Ford F100 trim ring around here, stainless trim ring. Plus these fender edges have been chrome plated. The grille will be from a 1957 Meteor, which is a Canadian Ford. They marketed it as Mercury's back then.
Is that the same year that had the pods?
Same year, but different car.
Okay.
And if you look up here, you can see that's one of the grills that's not in the car, obviously, just hanging up for decoration. My grill has already been totally re-chromed and everything sitting over there all wrapped up nice and neat. And what's cool about that, it actually wraps around the fender right here. It's got a V8 emblem in it, which is, I think, is pretty cool. The front bumper you see right there is in the plastic. It's been chrome plated. We did this, we shaved all the bolts off of it so it's smooth, and then slotted all the bumper brackets. And on the returns, we cut 1.5 inches out and put it back together. That way we can suck this bumper in a little bit. There's another factory one hanging up over there. You can see how long the ends are on it. It's stuck way out. And to me, that was a bit too much. I've seen them pulled back too far where it was almost cartoonish, so we're gonna pull it back 1.5 inches, which will just bring it right up against that balance pan. Front fender.
Happening down the side here.
Well, the front fender gets a spear on it that comes off a 1958 Edsel Pacer.
That one?
Yeah, very similar to that. That's a Corsair, but very similar to that. Now you see the two-door piece right there? See how long that piece is on the door?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't want it to interfere with my trim back here, so I have a 4-door piece, which only comes to here.
Okay.
So, gets the trim on the door and the front fender. Cutouts for, we're using the factory option rear view mirrors and spotlights, which are also real nice and shiny and over there in a box all.
I mean, this is an extremely custom car, but most of the stuff you're putting on it has come from a factory Ford option at some point in time. What's the thought process behind that?
Well, it's yeah, it's definitely FOMOCO themed. Ford, Mercury, Edsel, Lincoln, Thunderbird. I wanted something that possibly could have come from the factory. You know, maybe not quite this crazy, but could have come from the factory. Certainly they don't chop the tops from the factory. Certainly they don't put airbags on them and lower them from the factory. But all these things towards a FOMOCO themed car.
Like a factory custom?
Yeah, like a factory custom. Now the
Caution speaker.
well, yeah, I didn't want anybody putting their fingers to them or getting dirt in them. They're really hard to get in. Now they're in. It's like leave them alone. We're using several pieces of trim on the quarter panel mixed together. We might want to go to the back of the car so you'll understand this a little better. As you can see, we're using 58 Edsel station wagon tail lights. Now, on a custom 300, a station wagon, and a Ranchero, these all bolt right on and fit with the fin. They bolt right on the Fairlane also, but the fin usually sticks up about this high. And I'm sorry, but in my mind, that just looks crappy, doesn't look right.
Yeah.
So we pie cut these fins and lowered them down to fit the taillight.
And what'd you do at the bottom?
And this piece right here is a bolt-on piece from the Edsel. You know, there's two of them hanging up over there on the wall. But we actually welded these on and smoothed them in. That's for the trim to ride on.
And what'd you do? You welded them on?
Yeah, they're welded on. Now, so we got a top and bottom finish point to create a scallop on the quarter panel, which is very similar to 58 Edsels also. This piece of trim is the Fairlane 500 stock trim that rides the fin. It goes to right here. The lower section of trim, right here, which is going to finish at the bottom of the taillight, come all the way up, curve up here, is off of the, it's also off of a Fairlane body, but the cheaper body, not the 500. And
the custom 300, right?
No, custom 300 is a different, shorter body altogether.
Ah.
But they had this trim, but originally this piece here came up, went here, and right there, and that was it. And that was your two-tone, there, back and front. Well, I'm creating a scallop, so I took this piece and cut it and, what's the word?
Brazed.
Brazed. Found some nice brazing rods for stainless and made this piece out of a different factory piece. And then this has been re-chromed. That's going to create the pivot point for my scallop. So I was really happy I could get this done. And in fact, most of the trim here on these pillars where I've cut it all down are done the same way. It's stainless, it's been cut, brazed back together, and it's getting chrome plated. Gotta have cruiser skirts, right?
Yeah.
These are 59 Mercury, which means they're a little different than 57, 58. In that it's got a wider piece of trim on it, which I've already got all nice and polished in a box. With a little black accent strip in it. The difference between these and the 57, 58 is that these have a little cutout right here at the tire. So they're a little different. And we also did this. We bended these. So they're actually molded to the car. The original ones will just kind of hang and dangle, and it looks like it was just slapped on there. These are molded to the car. And I will probably, within this trim, make some kind of attaching point up here because they'll always be on the car. I don't ever see me taking them off.
What's the bumper?
The bumper. Okay, so around back, this was a big deal. This is a 57 Thunderbird two-piece bumper that I bought a long time ago. They're very expensive to find them even as cores. But I got really lucky, so I bought it and took it to a great fab guy that we use. His name's Danny. He welded it together, so it's all one piece, and took the bolts off so it's smooth. And it's been recontoured to fit the body. And the exhaust comes out through the back, just like it should. It's cool stuff.
Yeah, exhaust comes through there.
This back panel is totally different than stock. This originally had an indentation. It had the gas cap right here, and it had the flap with the license plate on it. But it's all been smoothed straight across. And so now my gas is in here. It's all vented and grounded and good. You see we got two red tops in here. Still working on wiring, that's why it looks so crappy.
What's the gas tank out of? What's underneath here? What are we looking at?
Yeah, it's a 67 Mustang drop-in gas tank, which you can buy those. You see where it's just cut the hole out, dropped it in, and they make the fuel injection pickups for them now with the dual lines for the return line, which is what this has on it. That allowed me to get the car a little lower. The other gas tank is not hanging down there like crazy. Got a fuel filter and everything up underneath right next to it.
Still not low enough.
Yeah, we're working on that. Priorities.
Let's see the suspension in action. I'm curious.
You want to see it go up?
I want to see it go up.
You want it up all the way?
That's all the way.
It's working. I've got a slow pump.
And what's ride height? That's ride height?
Just a hair above that because it will still drive hitting the stops in the back.
No, that's fine. Now you gotta lay it back out.
Moans like a dinosaur.
He did some funky stuff to the hood and stuff too, and I want you guys to see what's under the hood, so I'm gonna have him open the hood.
Okay, so what you're looking at is a 1997 Lincoln Mark 7 5-liter, which is pretty much the same thing as a Mustang GT motor. I bought the whole car from a friend of mine. He had slapped it against a tree in a snowstorm. So, but the engine was fine, drove it, great running engine. So, put a lot of chrome on it. It's filthy right now, so I'm not really happy we're filming it, but it's filthy.
It's prettier than mine.
Well, okay, that's not saying much, but.
Oh!
No, runs great. It's pretty much stock, except we changed the intake to the Edelbrock. It's got power brakes on it now, 4-wheel disc, front and rear. The fronts are Granadas, the rear is a aftermarket kit. We had Lincoln Versailles on the rear, but the parts and pieces of those are getting hard to find, and it's not a very good brake setup. So we put a conversion on that. I added the power steering and air conditioning to this, and it's got a 1-wire alternator. So trying to keep the wiring down as much as possible in here. I've still got a few things I need to hide and redo. But the car's got air conditioning on it, which I've never had an old car with air conditioning. The radiator's been totally redone, electric fan now. Runs good. Oh, and the firewall has been smooth. The firewall had a ton of holes in it before. If you've ever seen a 57 Ford firewall, you will know that there's been a lot of work done to this one.
So, what's the deal with the pink?
It's not pink. It's 1957 Lincoln Bermuda Coral, which is a factory color. The car's going to be mostly that. The roof and the scallops on the quarter panels will be a Lincoln Tuxedo Black.
Okay. So, roof, hood, trunk, quarter panels, fenders. The doors have been shaved. Front grille treatment, rear bumper treatment, taillight treatment. Every single part of this car. I mean, at least tell us about the interior now.
Oh, okay. Well, cool. Well, the interior is going to use a 1958 Edsel dash, which is a bolt-in.
Do you have one?
Yes, it's right there on the table.
Let's look at it.
So the Edsel dash has this famous little floating round speedometer that probably is not accurate, but it's super cool. And then I have Stuart Warner gauges. They go in here. I've cut all these out. This is just a piece for fitting. I've already had this re-chromed. It's in a box. Looks really nice. And then the radio, factory radio, we're going to use that. All this has been re-chromed already too. The radio has been redone so that it looks factory, but on the inside it's got FM and also Bluetooth. And we added this bottom panel for the air conditioning. I couldn't find anywhere on the dash to put the air conditioning vents that would make me feel good. So we added this. Still plenty of leg room.
What are the vents out of?
They're vintage air.
Vintage air?
Yeah, but they're the older looking ones.
Yeah, those look good.
But they're brand new.
They're plastic. Interesting.
Yes.
You couldn't tell until you touched it.
Yeah, I've got some touch up to do on this and some grinding.
What's this
This is
telling
the
me?
original seam that we filled. There's another one over here.
Oh, so you didn't have to make it smaller?
No, it's a original tack welded seam from the factory, and I didn't like the look of that line right there, so we're taking it out.
Ah.
And you can see here where I'm having to cut the dash pieces for my steering column. That's a 57 Ford piece, so that doesn't really apply.
But that's where it would go, right?
Yeah. So I still got to cut this. This has been cut. And that is for this piece over here. Okay, so sorry for this mess. I'm still wiring everything, but you can see everything's labeled. Horn, there's the hood, here's my ignition. The steering column is out of a 1967 Mustang. It was an option for that year. It's tilt plus it's tilt away, which the concept was going to be for you to be able to get in and out of the car easier, because you can see I put swivel mechanisms on the front seats also, which are, these are mid-60s T-Bird seats.
Just like mine.
Yeah, well, I had mine first. This is like the first headrest ever on a car. They originally were only on the passenger seats, but I bought 2 passenger seats because I want them to match. So, got headrests also.
What's the steering wheel out of?
The steering wheel is 1957 Mercury Turnpike Cruiser. See how it's flat on top? It's supposed to be for vision, which I'm definitely going to need, because you can see there's not much area to see through there. And there's the air conditioning. It's all in and functioning. Sprayed everything with lizard skin, which is supposed to be for sound absorption and heat. I didn't want to put the roll-on fabric because I've heard stories about that stuff catching fire, especially in an old car where somebody wired everything themselves, you know. So, so this has lizard skin. So anyway, long way to go. Come a long way already. I really would like to have this on the road here soon. So I've got a few things to take care of, and searching for a good painter for a reasonable cost.
So this is a concept drawing that he did
probably 20 years ago. I was trying several different colors. The only thing is it's not getting a Continental kit now.
Right, that's not going to be there anymore. That's the trim, how it's supposed to look.
And it does get dual rear antennas. And that's Fearless Freddy, our my father, your grandfather.
Rest in peace, Grandpa.
Yep, he's watching me every day.
Yep. So honestly, part of the big push lately has been actually getting the motor wired and running and all that. And I haven't even heard it run in real life yet. So let's do that. You've got a belt out of alignment. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed seeing that and got a little bit of an understanding about why I am the way I am and where I came from. I mean, you can tell just by looking around this joint. But yeah, I had fun. Hopefully, if you guys like this kind of content, you want to see more of this stuff, you want to see more of the 57 Ford Custom and Pops on the channel, just let me know down in the comments. Hit the like, you know, leave a subscribe, hit a thumbs down, you know, if Pops needs a haircut. Let me know how things go, okay? See y'all next time.